Call the meeting to order the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tony, will you call roll?
Mayor Hyde,
Present.
Counselor Johnson,
Present.
Counselor Quaid,
Present.
Counselor Hendrickson,
Present.
Counselor Jecka,
Present.
Right, I will start with the mayoral update. I have a few things to touch on. I had a lunch meeting with Senator Housechild to talk about what's going on in Rice Lake, things that we're focusing on, things that he might be able to help us with. I filled him in on the Rice Lake Corridor project that will be starting in 2027. We talked a little bit about the public safety building that we have been wishing for funds for a few years now. But explained to him that right now we've switched our focus to our utility projects that we would like to get going in 2026. We would like to put sewer and water on Rice Lake Road, the Martin Road down to Howard Gneason, which will then close the water loop in that section. Also, we need obviously to have utilities on the connector road building in 2027. So we have requested 3.8 million from the state as a grant for that project. I also attended, it was the House Finance Committee that came around, and Rice Lake was given the opportunity to do a little presentation on that project, which I was happy to do, scared to death, but happy to do. And it seemed to be well received, so I'm hopeful that we may be seeing some money come from the state. Another topic that I talked to the senator about, and also have had conversation with Representative Zalesnikar about the sexual predator ordinance that Rice Lake would like to put into place, but that current state statutes really don't give us the authority to enforce. So both the senator and representative are more than happy to take a look at getting something going down at the state. So hopefully I will have more to report on that in future. I also took a little ride around, like everybody else has been doing, with Tony and Daryl to learn more about roads, and that was really fun for me. I learned a lot. He brought us to a road, the West Nelson Road, showed what the project was going to be. And then I talked to one of our public works employees to let me know when that project would be done, and Justin let me know today that the project is done. So I'm looking forward to going and seeing the finished project and understand more about the roads. So time well spent. Have you done it with everybody now?
We have one counselor left.
Okay,
I have to kidnap.
well, we're doing. But that is pretty much all I have to report. So next is public discussion. If you have anything that you would like to discuss that is not on the agenda tonight, please come up to the podium, give your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes to discuss any topic you choose. Okay, in that case, let's have Representative Natalie Zalesnikar come up and say hello.
Well, greetings to everybody in Rice Lake, and it's nice to be here. I was at the public safety event this last week and got to see a car rescue demonstration, which was great. Halloween will be coming and all the other events. So congratulations on your 10th anniversary. You're right, it was great to see the presentation on the utility extensions. I think that with the corridor happening for Rice Lake, it's a good pathway to be looking at utility extensions right now, to look and be prepared for housing and infrastructure needs that you may have. That's something that Proctor's looking at too, and so that's a priority to the Republican caucus to make sure that we are dealing with the core infrastructure needs. And so that project definitely fits into that piece. As far as the sexual predators, I completely concur with the concerns in Rice Lake, and have had parents from other areas of this district say the same thing. I think that the rights of criminals should not come over the rights of protecting our kids, period. And so that to me just seems like if it's feet, that's ridiculous. It should be miles. From a park, from the schools, from childcare, family childcare settings and or centers. And so that to me is just a common sense situation. And I will definitely champion anything I can for this region and many others that I think parents are asking that question when they're finding out about releases. And so while people have served their time, that's great. I still think there's a piece that we need to be thinking about that's going to protect kids. We can't wait till there's a negative outcome. That's too late. And so making sure that there's some reasonableness in it. And I think that there could be some common ground. So session will be in February. We go back to session in the middle of February. And so this is a non-budget year, but we're in a deficit. So we'll have tough challenges coming, but not ones that we can't meet. And so my perspective is do everything we can to get infrastructure in place to help with housing, childcare, and to have a strong commercial tax base, because the commercial real estate market in this area and every other area, they generally pay double the taxes. So when you have a strong commercial tax base, then it takes less pressure onto the homeowner for property taxes. And people are concerned about how high their property taxes are gonna go. Because the mandates, a lot of the mandates from the state were shifted to local government. And there wasn't a funding attached to it, which puts the city councils and the school districts and the counties in a real pickle, for lack of a better way to say it. Because the only opportunity they have then is to increase property taxes. Or they cannot cut the programs because it's a mandate from the state to provide the services. So if you have a mandate to provide the services without money flowing with it from the state, then it leaves no other option because the property tax is the formula to fund that. So we have a lot of issues to fix, but when we get back to session, it'll be a priority. I feel like if we can solve the fraud problem, we have $2 billion in fraud, to have it go to core services that we actually are going to get something from it instead of theft would be great, whether it's childcare, schools, infrastructure, caring for vulnerable adults, the list goes on. So there's a lot to do, but it's an honor to serve all of you. Rice Lake does a great job. The Memorial Park looks really nice. It's a newer community and an old community, if that makes any sense. I live in a township also, and it's a beautiful area. The park is beautiful. There's many great aspects to this area. So I'm honored to serve people, and people have my cell number, but if they want to call me, it's 218-409-6822. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Tonight that includes the minutes from September 22nd, executed claims from September 23rd, 2025 to October 13th, 2025, totaling $200,445.95. The 2026 pay rates for staff and the fee schedule, the 2026 general fee schedule. One item that we need to pull from the consent agenda is the staff wages. being that Counselor Jacka is on the fire department. Do I hear a motion? Or questions?
I'll make a motion to pull the staff wages from the consent agenda.
Okay. Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Then can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Counselor Hendrickson made the motion. Do I have a second?
Oh, for.
Counselor Quaid supports. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, staff wages, separate issue. I'll take a motion to approve that as a separate issue.
I'll make a motion to accept the staff proposed pay rates for 2026.
Counselor Johnson made the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll support.
Counselor Hendrickson supports. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And note that Counselor Jacka has abstained. Department reports, administrator.
So this is a new report that I just kind of started. There was some discussion about data requests, so I just figured I would make a monthly report that talk a little bit of what's happening here administratively and then include that information in there. So for the month of September, we've been busy working on budgeting and levy preparations and discussions that go along with that. The department had spent time reviewing and drafting their proposed budgets for 2026. Then I met with them and we went over their plans so that I could get a firm understanding of all their requests that they had. Then we took these budgets to council at our budget meetings, and that's how we arrived at the preliminary levy, which was approved at the September 22nd council meeting. There will be a public hearing on the levy at the December 8th council meeting before council sets the final levy that night. I also encourage any residents that have questions on that preliminary levy or how the increased levy will affect their property taxes to reach out to me with any questions that you have about that. I'm definitely more than willing to sit down with them and answer any questions they may have or to provide them with additional information. I know council has offered that as well too, so. And then just do kind of a quick update on the data request updates. So below is a list of the data requests that have been processed by my office this year on a month-by-month breakdown. So in 2025 January, we had 1 request. None in February and March. April had 3 requests. May 1 more request. June 7 requests. July 9 requests. August 6 requests and September 6 requests, or a total of 33 requests, which estimated about 28.75 hours of staff time to process those. And the estimated costs are $1,528.75. And then just kind of in comparison, I did the last couple of years of requests. So in 24, we had a total of 14 requests. 23, we had no requests. 22, 1 request, and 21, 1 request.
Definitely gone up.
They have, yes.
I think this is good information, so monthly would be lovely.
Okay.
Any questions, Council?
Tony, when did the majority of the data requests start in 2024?
In end of September, early October is kind of when they started coming in.
During the campaign cycle?
Correct.
Anything else? Okay. Financial report, Tony?
For the month of September, in our checking account, we have $2,612,588.23. In our investment account, we have $1,624,217.01. For a total combined cash of $4,236,805.24.
Okay. Building and zoning.
September, we had 1 change of use permit, 1 commercial foundation only permit, 1 commercial mechanical permit, 1 commercial plumbing permit, 1 land disturbance, 2 lot combinations, 3 mobile home placement, 1 residential addition to an accessory structure, 1 residential detached garage, less than 1,200 square feet, and 1 larger, 2 residential home additions, 1 residential mechanical, 3 residential plumbing, 7 over-the-counter permit, and 4 right-of-way permits. Total of 30 permits, valuation $361,935. Total fees collected $6,025.70.
That seems like a lot of permits.
It's been a busy year.
That's great. Animal control, Carly.
All right, in September 5th, we had, a couple of dogs that were running loose on Howard Ganethan Road. I generally do not go and catch dogs, but this resident was very concerned about the dogs being loose, and I said, okay, well, if I can get out there and I can get them, then I will, and I found them right away, opened the back of my car, and they hopped right in, so they went to doggy jail. And Animal Allies is wonderful. They really are great to work with. They, help get through the paperwork. Found a microchip in one of those dogs. And so they were able to get those dogs back home. They're not from Rice Lake, and I'm still waiting on the information about that to see if we'll be able to find the owner or not, to recoup the costs for Animal Allies. So I have not been billed from Animal Allies also since early August, I think, so, kind of waiting to see where we're at with that. I have requested that they send us our monthly billing.
Yeah.
And then cat, with the rest of the 3 calls in September and just last week.
Great. Any comments? Public Works, Shane?
Public Works for the month of September, starting with, Roads Department. For the month of September, we had a substantial list of projects, that was mentioned in the previous month's report that needed to be finished as we moved into October. As of the week of October 5th, the crews have made significant progress on the remainder of the work. All the ditching on Rabine and West Nelson, have been completed. And the gravel hauling for these 2 roads is scheduled to be on this week, October 16th, which falls on a Thursday. Fair Road asphalt project commenced on September 22nd and was successfully completed on the 30th of September. Moving on to utilities, September was also busy for the utility department. Crew completed all of the dirt preparation for the concrete slabs for all 5 of the lift stations, as well as excavating the trenches for the electrical conduit. Also, as of the October 5th, all 5 concrete pads have been poured and the conduit has been buried. The week of October 12th, the crews will be placing the generators at each of the lift stations and mounting them down securely to the concrete pads. Following this, Duluth Electric will be on site completing the wiring and the systems connections. Further details, I will have for the finishing portion of the project and the start updates. Also they're available. I'll update everybody on that. Routine park maintenance activities were conducted throughout September without any incident. Work including mowing, general cleanup, equipment inspections to ensure all facilities remain safe and presentable for public use.
Any comments? Thank you, Shane. Fire Department, Chief?
All right, for the month of September, we had 40 calls for service, 32 medicals, 3 vehicle accidents, 2 power line hazards, 1 structure fire, 1 vehicle fire, and 1 carbon monoxide alarm. We continue to be really busy. This actually puts us already over record request for calls for service with an entire quarter left in the year. So not quite sure what's changed this year, but, people need our help right now. Our FEMA AFG radio grant, award notifications were sent out to award recipients for the fiscal year 24 cycle. We haven't received our award and we haven't received our denial letter. However, our contact at the state fire marshal's office, has told us that those denials will likely be coming out soon. As FEMA's shifted their focus to the fiscal year 25 notification funding list. So, we were most likely unsuccessful with that. But with that said, I do want to emphasize the importance of the council decision about a month and a half ago on acquiring the used radios from Long Lake Fire Department. This is exactly kind of the reason why we brought that forward, even though we had a grant pending. It was highly unlikely that we would be successful with all the competition at the grant, at the FEMA level, or national level for that grant. And so having that plan B, was very important. And so we have received those radios. My report's a little outdated. We have, brought those in to the county for programming. We've received the radios back. And so right now we have, an order for some chargers from DSC Communications, that we're waiting to receive, and then we'll issue those out to our members. And moving on, October is always a super busy month for us. It's fire prevention month. So last Tuesday, we had the Homecroft third graders over for their annual field trip. Went very well, had the opportunity to educate 75 students from Homecroft on various fire safety topics. They had a fun time. And then later that evening, we held our annual fire prevention open house. And it was a really great turnout. It was a great evening. We had probably about 225 people that had attended the event. We hosted dinner, had many interactive stations like CPR training, truck tours, trying on our turnout gear. We had lithium ion battery safety topics. That was the focus for this year's fire prevention week. And then we had the junior firefighter obstacle course in the back. And then as Representative Zeleznikar mentioned, we had a vehicle extrication demonstration that we put on for those that were in attendance. And then later this month, we have a couple other things going on. We're going to have a fire prevention day for the Homecroft kindergarten class. And then we're hosting another Red Cross blood drive event. And then, of course, as was previously mentioned, we have the annual Halloween carnival that will take place on Sunday, the 26th, I believe. Equipment maintenance and training. We've completed all of our annual hose testing requirements with no hose sections failing this year, so that's good. We completed the annual service and compliance check on our air compressor and cascade system for our SCBA's, and that all passed. And then all of our membership completed their 16 hours of EMR refresher training. And so all of our EMRs are recertified for another 2-year cycle. And then lastly, just a little bit of an update on our membership. At our September business meeting, we were able to welcome back one of our former members, Gwen Anderson. She will again serve as one of our medical only roles as an EMR. And then we have 2 probationary members that will be completing their 1-year probationary period this month. And then we'll probably be swearing them in as full members here in a couple weeks. And we currently have 2 other applicants that are currently going through the hiring process. Both show some good promise, and we're anticipating bringing those names before council here in the near future in the next month or 2 before year end. So with that said, this brings our total team number to about 27 firefighters, EMRs, and reserve members. And then with the hope that we will be adding 2 more soon by the end of the year.
Well, it sounds like you need that number of calls.
Yeah, that'll be a good addition.
Sure.
But we'll have a ton on the month of September itself, because that's the third quarter, which is great. nice graph there. So we had 624 calls in the third quarter this year. Top 5 calls for service are gonna be your traffic stops, medical attempts to locate, business checks and paper services. And, scroll on, compared to 2024, looks like traffic dropped down, medical calls are higher, which Chief had talked about. And attempts to locate, check as the calls have gone up. It seems like, I thought it was kind of, September was a relatively slow month, so that was nice. And I had my numbers from last month, roughly 25 traffic stops, that's just me, is not everybody else who's floating through the Rice Lake area, so other guys are still working even when I'm not there. And, a bunch of medicals, that basically the fire department handles all on their own unless it's that one. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Attempt to locate calls and check business calls, could you just explain a little bit?
Sure, so attempt to locate, could be anybody driving around, they see somebody that they think might be impaired or speeding or some sort of moving violation, those are labeled as attempt locate. And then the check businesses, we've started doing those kind of in the later hours of the night, just to cut down on burglaries, driving through bars, construction places, any sort of business where we're just gonna do a lap around it, make sure there's no windows busted out or anybody hanging out there that shouldn't be. Kind of makes the night go faster.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. We have Jeff Anderson here today with us from Hasselmark. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor and Councilors. Great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to come by. My name is Jeff Anderson. I work as your lobbyist for the city of Rice Lake, along with my colleague Gary Cirkvenek, who some of you may have met in past years. Just a little background on the two of us. For those of you who don't know us, Gary is a former St. Louis County Commissioner and has worked as a lobbyist for many decades now. Myself, I served on the city council in Duluth for 4 years and worked on the staff of Congressman Rick Nolan for 6 years and have worked in this capacity since back in 2017 or 2018, representing the city of Rice Lake as your lobbyist at the Minnesota Capitol. And it is an honor to do so. We're very proud to represent this community, working in partnership with city leadership and your legislative delegation to secure funding for the city, to enhance local government aid and to raise the city's visibility among state policymakers. Our work is supported by great legislators who represent this area, going back previously to Senator Tom Bach and Representative Mary Murphy, to now Representative Natalie Zalesnikar and Senator Graham Hochschild. These partnerships and the work that they do has resulted in major investments in policy changes that have benefited the city. We've had the privilege of representing under past leadership, Mayor Werner, Mayor Hurstad, and now Mayor Heim. And I have to say, you did a fantastic job at the House Bonding Committee last week. So trial by fire, we'll have you doing that again, no doubt, once the legislative session begins. And also your great city administrator. It's always a privilege and a pleasure to work with Tony. Her professionalism and communication with our team, but also with the legislative delegation, I think has been one of the keys to our success in St. Paul. So stepping back, some of the things that we've done in recent years working together. Back in 2020, there was a bonding bill passed. At that point, Representative Mary Murphy was chair of the House Capital Investment Committee, and Senator Tom Bach was chair of the Senate Capital Investment Committee. So there was a $1 million state bonding award that came to the city for extending water and sewer service. 2023, thanks to Representatives Zalesnikar and Senator Hochschild, there was a $1.8 million bonding award to the city of Rice Lake for extensions of clean water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, utilities, and a new lift station. Recent years, we've also worked in partnership regionally in advocacy for greater investment in infrastructure and transportation planning related to the areas around Duluth. We've helped weigh in terms of the federal efforts you've had. The city, of course, has been successful in the past year with EDA money as well as the RAISE grant with St. Louis County. One of the things I think that we're proudest of in working for the city of Rice Lake goes back to 2018 in close partnership with Mayor Werner and with Senator Bach. The city, as you're celebrating your 10th anniversary, was pretty new then and was receiving about $5,000, just over $5,000 a year in local government aid. Working during that legislative session and making the case that Rice Lake was the newest city in the state, faster growing city. We were able to, through a formulaic change, get that bumped up to $500,000 a year. So I think this year it was 580,000. And I was looking today, that number might be over 600,000 next year. So we're proud of that because that's not just a one-time bonding appropriation. That aids the city in your operation into perpetuity, which leads me to say that some of the other work we do on behalf of the city of Rice Lake is to advocate for cities, smaller cities, and explain to legislators, especially metro legislators, why local government aid and county program aid and all of these aids are good for greater Minnesota and for communities like this that may not have the population and may also have a considerable amount of undeveloped land or public land. We work in conjunction and partnership with the League of Minnesota Cities and with the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities in those efforts as well. So we do all of that engagement over the course of the year and during each legislative session. As Representative Zalesnikar said, this year's legislative session will begin in mid-February and will go through the end of or the middle of May. We, I think, have positioned the city in a good spot for consideration in the 2026 capital investment or bonding bill. And as I said, the mayor presented to that committee last week, and will no doubt also be having those conversations with the Senate committee as this process moves forward. And I want to talk just a bit about the political climate because that will lead into where I think anyway a bonding bill fits for the city. As you know, Governor Walz continues to be governor and has announced he's running for re-election to that spot next year in 2026. The Minnesota House is tied. We have an even split. And though there is a power sharing agreement, the Speaker of the House is a Republican and there are committee co-chairs, it's still tied. The Minnesota Senate has a 1-vote majority by the DFL. So we are incredibly split, which I think means as you look at this next session, there probably won't be any great policy victories on either side of the aisle. It'll probably be a pretty minimal legislative session. The budget is done. This past session, this past spring, the budget was completed. There may well have to be adjustments depending on budget forecasts, but they don't have to pass a tax bill. They don't necessarily have to pass other budget bills unless there's some bipartisan consensus on making those adjustments. I would say there is a great desire, especially in the House on both sides of the aisle, and Representative Zalesnikar, feel free to object or disagree with me, but I think in the House especially, there's a desire to pass a bipartisan bonding bill, and it has to be bipartisan. The state constitution says that a supermajority must vote to pass a bonding bill. So in this environment, that requires both parties to come together to pass it. The same in the Senate. The House Republicans and Democrats have put forward bills in the past several years, and they are bills that are heavy on infrastructure projects. And I think that if a bonding bill makes it over the finish line in this session, it will be heavily focused on water and sewer infrastructure. I think that's the only way the Senate Republicans support a bonding bill. And I also, if you think about in this legislative environment, especially in the Senate where the Republicans are in the minority, the only area that they really have leverage over in the Senate is bonding. And so I think they'll hang on to that leverage until the very final days of the legislative session and then make the calculation if they should pass that bonding bill. I think the House where the bonding bill has to originate probably sends something over sooner than the very end of session. But all of that I'd say is contingent upon the fact that 2026 is an election year. And so there will be no doubt election politics at play. Both the Democrat and Republican caucus will be angling and working to try to win a majority in the November 2026 election. So that will no doubt have an impact on how this session proceeds. But again, in terms of the early desire, it seems as though most legislators or many of the legislators in greater Minnesota and northeastern Minnesota that I work with want to see a bonding bill pass. I'll wrap up by saying there are other things that we can continue to work on that can be of benefit to the city. In past years, with previous administration and with Tony, we've discussed possible applications to LCCMR, which is the Legislative Citizens Commission on Minnesota Resources. That's the money that's generated from the Minnesota State Lottery. And the interest on that fund every year produces more than $100 million. That is then recommended by a committee made up of citizens and legislators, approved by the legislature, and it's mostly for outdoor projects, scientific studies, those types of things. We've seen money come to northern Minnesota for campgrounds, for fishing piers, and for trails. And so as the city contemplates future parks or trails or connections or trailheads, that's a possible pot of money to apply for. And I've worked with communities that have gotten as little as $85,000 from that fund and as much as $2 or $3 million from that fund. And it's a real possibility if we have a solid plan to apply for. And those applications will be due by the end of March 2026. We go through a process through the spring and summer, and then it would be the 2027 legislative session where if we were successful in being recommended by the committee, that would be approved for use by the city in really the summer or fall of 2027. And then finally, there's been discussion, and it did come up at the capital investment tour too, if the city had a local option sales tax for projects. And there has been a moratorium on the legislature considering those local option sales tax, but that has now expired. I expect that tax committees will revisit and hear some of these proposals in this next legislative session. And for most communities, you have to come up with a plan as a city. What would you, first of all, you want to engage your professionals to figure out what type of income that could possibly generate for a city. And then what would you use that for? And you can use that as local match dollars for a larger scale capital investment project. It cannot be used for ongoing operations or staffing or things like that. And they typically will have a sunset to them, which can be extended, but project-based, have a sunset. And then if the legislature approves of such a plan, you typically have to take it to your voters then for that final approval before it's implemented. And there are some subtle differences depending on the project and the year that can happen. But I would say if local legislators support that, that's something that the city could consider. And we do have, your senator is on the Senate Tax Committee, which, would be where this, effort would have to be heard. So, think about that as you move forward and make priorities and think of planning in the future years. So often, we really are thinking out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years when it comes to how we pay for these projects and what the priorities of the city are. So with that, I'll stop talking. I'm happy to take any questions. I did prepare this memo, which outlines much of what I spoke about. But I'm happy to take any questions you might have related to the legislature or our efforts on behalf of the city.
I just want to say thank you for all your hard work in helping our city become a city. We're growing through LGA and all these bonding bills. It's great work. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Don't tell anyone else, but Rice Lake's one of our favorite cities to work for. We sincerely enjoy the work we get to do for all of you because you are a growing city and a city that has had some vision on where you want to go and what you want to be and what you don't want to be. So that's important to have, and I'd encourage you to keep thinking into the future and don't be afraid to think big too when it comes to future developments. Like I said, we have good legislators who have an open door and are always willing to hear from us and go to bat for the community. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now we have 2026 IRC 709 general election judges. Tony, anything in particular you want to mention?
No, just resolution appointing the judges for the upcoming general election on November 4th.
Council, looking for a motion?
I'll move to support resolution 25-31.
Councilor Quavis made a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Councilor Johnson has seconded. Any questions or comments? Any questions or comments from the audience?
I have a question and comment from back, but the question and comment didn't get opened for the reports. So, and it's on the agenda, so I can't do the public speaking, so I just don't know when the perfect time.
On the reports?
Yeah.
Okay, let us finish this one and we'll take your question. Okay, we have the motion and the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes. Okay, Terry, you wanna come up here?
Paul Schneider, 4802 Orton Brook. So yeah, that's the conundrum of public discussion and nothing's on the agenda, but the stuff that's on the agenda, if you don't get questioned afterwards, you can't say. So it's kind of sticky spot.
No, I understand.
So first of all, I just want for clarity and record keeping, looking at the staff, pay rates.
Mhm.
City administrator staff or pay is not the correct number for what it's actually at as of now. I vividly remember being at the budget meeting last year on August 22nd, approving a $28,000 raise, bringing that pay from $86,000 to $114,000. If that's correct, which would mean that the 3%, when you do the math, is actually on $114,000. I could be wrong, but I just want clarity for the public to see what the actual pay rate is.
The proposed pay rate for 2026 is correct.
Okay, so how many years do we have in for you being the admin? Specifically admin.
For being the city administrator, I was 4 years.
It's been a while. Well, I mean, you were the city clerk, but we just changed the title to administrator.
Yeah. I was appointed as the city clerk in 2018.
So going off these step plans, year 6 equals $41.35 or $86,000. But we're actually at $114,000 this year, which is not year 6. And then we're gonna add 3% on top of that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Is this number correct on the chart?
We're talking about the 26 proposed rates and that number is correct.
Okay, do you find it misleading for the public who, since, taxpayers should know what the actual going rate is? Shane's on there Thursday, he was making 40.39 and then he's gonna go to 41.06. Just feel like that's a little misleading for taxpayers to not know that our city administrator makes $15.59 more than the next highest paid person an hour. So, food for thought, since he did just say that we are the newest, or in 2018, we were considered the newest city in the state. Just pretty incredible because the comparisons were done to cities like Chisholm, who have like 100 years of infrastructure and old mining towns. It's not a really solid comparison. And then when talking about,
We're at 3 minutes.
okay, your data requests reflect those kind of issues. People ask questions when things don't make sense. And if you look at the data request in correlation, who's on council, that makes a lot of sense too. How do we get destruction reports?
How do we get what?
How do we get the destruction? Are you gonna ask about these when we get to that?
We'll talk about them, yes.
Okay, I'd like to bring that up.
All right. 8.3 on the agenda is 2026 St. Louis County Aggregate Crushing Program. To approve resolution 2532 to agree to a cooperative agreement with St. Louis County. Tony, anything you would like to bring up?
In a report, we will be crushing in, 2026. They're estimating it to be $3.80 per ton. I believe we are planning on ordering. How much are we ordering?
15,000 tons.
Okay.
1,500 or 15,000?
15,000. They do 1,500, you're looking at what is,
Okay.
every 1,500 tons they do.
So with those numbers, Shane is estimating that the gravel will cost $64,900. We won't have that final number until the county puts that out to bid and gets a contractor to do the crushing for them. So they asked that we pass a resolution just noting that we will enter into that cooperative agreement so they don't put it out for bid, including our amount, and then at the last second, we got purchase the gravel.
And we have the money for this.
We do, yep, it has been, it's in the proposed budget for 26.
Okay, any further questions?
So this is a large expense, but my understanding during the budget meeting is because the transportation will be less overall, it's gonna represent cost savings, is that correct? It's coming from one local.
Correct.
Yep, that's correct. Versus buying this much from a pit.
Right.
Having that cost that's hiked up more than having them haul it on top of it.
Mhm.
You'd probably be looking at 80 to 100,000.
Okay. So significant savings. Okay, I'll take a motion and we'll have further discussion. Okay. Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2532.
Counselor Hendrickson made the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Counselor Flynn, second. Further discussion? Any comments from the audience? Great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 8.4, conduit bond letter from Daniel Burns Freiberger, resolution 2533, calling for a public hearing NSB. Tony, can you give an explanation of this? Because I think a lot of us are a little lost.
Yeah, so, and it was nice to have a conversation with them because Carly and I every year have to get a letter for a conduit bond that we issued in 2017, I believe it was. And every year her and I are like, what is a conduit bond? So, basically, for my understanding is that the bonds that are issued under state statute, as a city, we can get it tax exempt. As nonprofit organizations, they don't get that benefit of a tax exempt bond. But if they can work with their host city to allow them to use the city's tax exempt status, then they can. So it's only available for nonprofit. So it's not like a for-profit company that can then be tax exempt. So it's that type of process. And so what we have to do, similar to when we issue bonds as the cities, you have to hold a public hearing kind of explaining, you know, like we did for the Public Works Edition. Usually we have to update our capital improvement plan. So what they're asking us to do is to allow Stella Maris to use the city's tax exempt status to issue a bond for $4 million for a construction loan that they currently have, that they now want to roll over into just a normal bond. They had done some stuff at their high school, but that's what they had done the construction on. So what that means from the city's standpoint is, on the other caveat too, so generally it has to be the host city. So since Stella Maris is in Duluth, it first has to go to them. But cities are only allowed to have up to $10 million of tax exempt bonds in a year. And Duluth has either done that or is planning to do that within the year. So they're not allowed to do it. So then they can go to their next closest city and ask us to do that. So basically what the city needs to do is we have to hold a public hearing to kind of explain this whole process to the community. And then it will go out for bond just like it normally does on the bond market if we were asking for it ourselves. The bond will be in Stella Maris's name. There won't be any city liability for it, so we're not on the hook if they don't pay their payments. There's no liens against any city property. So really all we're doing is we're allowing them to use our tax exempt status. And because we're allowing them to do that, there's an administrative fee that we can charge for that, which is usually a percentage of what their lending amount will be. So that's still yet to be determined. When I was talking to Dan with Freiberger, I think he had mentioned most of those are 1/8 to 0.5% of that total bond. So I think when I did the quick math, I think I used 0.25%, it was $10,000. Basically, we hold a public hearing, we do a little paperwork, and they give us $10,000.
So we have no risk.
We have no risk. It doesn't count against us for our bond rating, so if we should go out for a bond next year, we don't claim it, nothing. So
And we won't report or track it. We report to our auditors that one letter we get saying their principal balance every year. That's the only reporting work we have to do on it.
So it doesn't prevent us from getting on amount
Correct.
of.
Yep, yeah, so anything that we have to report to the state or the county for our debt, those amounts are reported.
This just seems weird.
Have we done this before, or?
We did, yeah, in 2017, so Joan was the clerk at that time, so I remember hearing about it, but I don't remember. I was involved.
I don't recall it. It's interesting, I guess.
It is, yeah.
And it's not shady.
It is not, no, there are, it's our legal counsel that is advising us it's something we can do, and there are, you know, statutes that they listed. So,
That was a new one.
Yeah,
and I think too, at the end of the letter, he notes. There's something else I read. Yeah, just the savings that they can get to by going through this route. Oh, I think it's actually in the resolution.
so today we're just making a motion on holding a public hearing, correct?
Yes, yep, so it's a resolution giving preliminary approval to the issuance and the sale of the revenue bonds or other obligations and scheduling a public hearing regarding the same. And then the public hearing would be held on at our November 11th council meeting. November 10th.
There's no liabilities for us.
No liabilities, no,
So.
I know, just.
It's an easy 10,000.
Okay.
All right, I'll look for a motion on resolution 25-33, calling for a public hearing for the Stella Maris 2025 bond, the conduit bond.
Make a motion to pass resolution 2533.
Counselor Jekka has made the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Counselor Hendrickson has done a second. Any further conversation about this? Any questions from the audience? I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Record destruction. We do this annually, do we not?
Usually annually or a couple times a year, depending on what we've accumulated or when we have a little downtime that we can go through the boxes of records.
Okay.
So this one was kind of spurred on from a box that we found from 2017. Most things that we have to keep, there's a 6-year retention for them. So that's what most of these items are on here, but not all of them.
Employee personnel files. Is this current employees or?
No, it would be former. I believe we have to keep them for, I think it's 2 years from
When they
from
leave,
separation date. Yeah,
but current, we have to keep the entire record.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would think would be the case.
Yeah.
Any questions on, any particulars on this?
Well, I did note too, Kim had put this together for me, so I just wanted to clarify a little bit on the title for the municipal vehicles and equipment. Those you can get rid of once you no longer own the vehicle. So this particular one is for the 2000 F-450 that we had traded in last year. So it's just the purchase agreement and that type of stuff. And then the other one too, so the service requests, those are for our utility customers. And those ones have to be kept as long as the customer is active. So again, these are service requests from 2017 that we then went through and made sure they were all former customers, none of them are current customers.
I'll look for a motion to approve the records destruction report.
I'll make a motion to approve the records instruction report.
Counselor Jacka has made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Counselor Quaid has the second. Any further questions? Any questions from the audience?
So, Kara Alexander, coordinator to, the employee personal files. How, well, anything on here, how would you find out before it's destroyed? How would the public know what that is? What's the discretionary?
By
Just asking. Okay, so, as far as employee personal files, it looks to me like those were stumbled upon for basically since 2014 till now. So would that be anybody who's been here and then quit or got hired since 2014? Is that what I understand?
Looks like the most,
specific years.
the most recent data is 2023 for employee records, right?
Yeah. I asked because many of those data requests that were in Tony's little spreadsheet of data requests are probably from me. And data request number 4 that I have specifically asked for the work personnel files on 2 employees. And I was told that one of them was destroyed. So how is it that that one employee's file was destroyed when she worked here in 2020? Let's see. It was, her termination date was 1/2/2020. But then I'm seeing employee files all the way back to 2014. So I'm just wondering why we pick and choose to destroy certain ones, or like how that came about, that this particular one got destroyed, but these ones didn't. If you could explain that, I just don't know.
I don't have an answer for that. I mean, I believe, Tony, you said we have to keep them for 2 years.
It's 5 years after termination. Carly looked it up for me. I'm not 100% sure what the dates are that Kim has on this. I don't know if this was their start date. Normally, what I do with the personnel files is I have them separated from everything else, and I just put a little sticky note on there of when they can be destroyed, so I don't know if that's the date she has on here. And I had gone through a bunch of our old, temporary, part-time public works.
Mhm.
So I think that's the older ones that are on this list.
The temporaries.
Yes, yeah, that we were just kind of holding on to, not sure if we would ever call them back to work, yeah.
Okay, so it'd be fair to say that we could get a list of names for who these personnel files were?
Can we do that legal?
I believe so.
Yes, they're public employees.
I would assume that yes.
Why would you want that? Why does it matter to you why I want it?
Okay.
I'm just asking.
That's
You
not,
ask questions? I
This is
can ask
exactly
questions.
what I'm talking about.
When
We're
you're
doing that.
if,
I've asked you to keep her.
if you would like a list of these names, yes, we will get them.
Thank you.
We will look into the legality of it. They are no longer public employees, so I get that.
Okay, that was my question. Yeah. If we legally can
Yeah.
share that.
Yeah.
If we legally can share that, yes, we can. have
Because
that
we have
information.
nothing to hide. We will share whatever can be shared.
Well, I have a data request of somebody who is not a public or not a staff employee anymore. And I still got that one with no cause. And
Do you want mine too? I'll give it to you.
if it's gonna be a source or a problem, I would understand. I guess I just don't understand why it's an issue. When I did a data request and I did receive one, and then all of a sudden I see something that's gonna destroy files, I guess I'm just cross-checking to make sure. So I don't know why that's always an issue. Why is everything always an issue?
We will get you the information. If you are able to do so.
Yeah, I would respect that. Thank you so much.
You bet. Okay, we have the motion.
We have another question from the audience.
Can I just speak a moment? My name is Lynn Levine. I live at 4015 Schultz Road. And I have a question about, if you're not a citizen in our city, can you keep making all these requests?
She is a property owner
Okay.
of Rice Lake.
And do we have a right to question things that she picks on us? She thinks that we're picking on her? We're just having a question of the city of what she's asking.
I would prefer that this does not become a public debate.
Okay, thanks. I just want to be able to, as a citizen and living here, be able to come to a meeting and have nobody getting up here to fight every time.
Thank you, Lynn.
That's what for me.
Any further?
I am not a school board member.
Is any, okay, enough. Are there any further comments on reckless destruction? Okay, that being said, I will accept a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Well, are we, hang on. We said that we would look at this will not destroy them if she wants them, is that correct? Or is that just the name?
She's just looking for the names.
Just the name.
Right. Correct, Tara? You were looking for the names.
Yeah, I just want to cross-check that the information I got in the data request is correct, and
Okay.
that's all I was asking.
So before they're destroyed, we get a list of the names and then we can determine if we can release that. Okay, once again, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes. Okay, first reading, raffle permit for the drift toppers. This is a gambling permit. Looks like they want to hold a raffle at Boomtown, correct?
Yep, on March 3rd.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's supposed to be
That's fine.
2026.
Yeah, I would,
I wasn't talking about.
Yeah. Just checking.
I
I will confirm that with
Okay.
him before
Okay.
it comes back to you for the second.
all right. Any questions or concerns regarding this application? And I don't think we've gotten one from Boomtown before, but we do approve these on a pretty regular basis for other places. A fundraiser. Anyone have any concerns that we should check out before we bring this back next meeting? Time to. Do any of the audience have concerns that you would like us to check out before this is brought back? All right. So it'll come back to us next meeting, right?
Yes, yep,
Okay. And we'll have the correct date.
exactly. yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any unfinished business? No? All right, then I will look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.